Do you think that the universe has always existed, or do you think it started from nothing?
Uh, I don't know. Because I think. Actually, I don't know what to think. I think it could be either or. Because I don't think you can really, at least from my knowledge, you can't prove or disprove either of those things. So,
Did you know it's actually a trick question, and scientifically both can be disproven?
really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
If the universe has always existed, well, then that would mean there's been an infinite amount of days before today. So, given the concept of infinity, if there's always one more day before today, well, then we could never have actually reached today because there'd always be one more day, pushing today one day further back. Then you also have the laws of thermodynamics, the law of entropy, said that energy is constantly heading towards a state of unusability or dissipating, and along with all the other laws of thermodynamics. But the first law of thermodynamics is that energy and matter can't be created or destroyed. They're only interchangeable between each other. So for the universe just to come from nothing, well, then not only does that break the first law of thermodynamics, it also breaks the law of causality, which says that everything that has a beginning has to have a cause. So if the universe has to have a beginning, well, then it couldn't have been from nothing. Or nothing can't be the cause because nothing doesn't exist. Nothing does nothing, and now that's the definition for nothing is it's the absence of, I don't know, the absence of something.
Yeah.
But what do you think the universe is? How would you define it?
Aren't there like multiple universes? Like, I don't know.
I'm the wrong person to ask. I've only lived in this one.
Um, well, once again, I could be wrong because I'm not very well versed in this topic. So don't don't quote me. But I think there's multiple different universes.
So how would you define this universe?
What do you mean?
Define it, describe it. What is it made up of?
I don't fucking know.
What's your name?
I'm on a floating rock in the middle of nothingness that is forever expanding. I I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, right?
What do you mean?
What?
Space doesn't make sense, but or even like a lot of science doesn't make sense. Like atoms, we're just supposed to know what those are. Like, what do you mean they're never like? I'm not touching my hands. My hands are not touching. What do you mean? What do you mean? That's crazy.
It seemed like they were touching to me.
Well, yeah, but because of like atoms, like your hands like don't technically touch, which is crazy.
I don't buy that.
Really?
No, that makes no sense to me.
Well, yeah, but just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean it's not true. So, I don't know. Science is really cool and interesting, and most of it doesn't make any sense. But
What's your name?
Sarah, what's your name?
Is it say Thera or Sarah?
Sarah.
Okay, you look more like a Thera than a Sarah because a Thera is a way cooler name.
Oh,
A
thank
Sarah is
you.
kind of like boring and I don't know. You don't. But my name's Don
Well, nice to meet you.
or Dominic, but I don't know. Dominic sounds like such a mouthful.
Awful?
A mouthful. It's
Oh,
kind
I
of
thought you
like
said awful. I was like, what?
nope. So Thera, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with all that. Where do you think life came from?
Life? I don't know. I'm like semi-religious, so I think there's a deity that created it, but I can't prove or disprove that, so
Well, you could definitely disprove evolution.
what do you mean?
Oh, it's a single word. Abiogenesis. So the word biogenesis just means the beginning of life. So according to science or the law of spontaneous generation or the law of biogenesis, it says that life can't come from non-life, but that's the premise of evolution is that we all evolved from single-celled organisms that just kind of formed themselves.
I think that how evolution is taught, like, I think that there's some things that they're leaving out. I don't think we came from monkeys, but I do think we came from like, Neanderthals, and I do think that evolution is a part of God's plan. But I think that there's a lot of things about evolution that they did leave out.
Well, if you look at even a single celled organism, it's more complex than the entire city of New York, including all the people inside of it. And it's a complete integrated system that is irreducibly complex. So, in other words, it needs every single one of the parts within it just to continue just to function. Otherwise, it just dies and then can't continue to replicate. And it needs all of those to come into existence right at the beginning or the very beginning of life. But then when you look at what a single cell is basically is made up of, it's made up of, well, it's made up of proteins. But proteins are made up of amino acids. But amino acids are only made by proteins. But proteins are made by amino acids. So you have this chicken and an egg conundrum right at the very building blocks of life. Would show, well, it would all have to, like you said, it would have to be created by something that could put together an integrated, irreducibly complex system, like, I mean, an airplane, or even something simple like a mousetrap. You need all pieces just to come together in the right places just to form a mousetrap. Otherwise, it doesn't function. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows that it was something that was definitely designed. So
Yeah.
that would be a deity. So what God do you believe in?
I'm a Muslim.
Oh, okay. I was actually just talking to a Muslim a second ago. He was answering some questions for me. I've been trying to study the Quran. Um, I've been studying a lot of religions. That's kind of why I was asking these questions. But
Are you religious?
definitely not religious, no.
But
But
you believe something?
I'm trying to, well, I'm trying to get to the truth.
So you're agnostic.
No, I know there's a God.
Well, being agnostic is kind of like a spectrum. You can be an agnostic theist or an agnostic atheist. And an agnostic theist believes that there's something, they're just unsure of what.
Well, there's a deist, a theist, but to believe in that there is a God. No, I'm not agnostic because I know that there is a God. So I'd either be deistic or theistic.
But isn't that on the agnostic like
No,
spectrum?
agnostic just means you don't know and that if there is or isn't. So don't have an opinion on either.
Yeah, but you could lean more towards one. Could be like, I mean, there's probably something there, but I don't know. Or you could be like, I don't
But
think there's
then
anything.
technically you're not an agnostic. Then you're still putting your faith in one or the other, that there isn't or there is.
Well, yeah, but you just don't believe in like a specific thing, really.
Well, that'd still either be deism or theism. So
I don't know.
have you like studied the Quran?
Yeah, I've read a lot of it. I haven't read the whole thing though, but I'm trying to read it right now. Yeah.
Because one thing I found interesting about the Quran, well, it says in one verse, it says, "O ye people of the book, you have no grounds to stand on unless you're standing on the Torah, the Gospels, or the Revelations." It's referring to the Bible. So,
Yeah.
do you think that the Bible is also true?
Yeah. As a Muslim, we see Christians and Jews. We look upon them with great respect because they're the ones who came before us. You know,
Yeah.
so they kind of led us to Islam. They were the building bridges. So yeah.
Okay. So you believe they're true too? That's interesting.
The thing, well, we believe, um, We basically believe that the authentic message of the Abrahamic religions has been corrupted by man multiple times, and the Quran is like the final, like authentic, untouched message. Because in practice, Islam is more similar to Judaism, but in belief, we're actually way more similar to Christianity because Islam is basically Christianity, but you believe Jesus is a prophet. Like, that's all it really is. So,
And then also that he didn't actually die on a cross. Um, but
yeah, we believe in everything else. I mean, we believe in the second coming of Jesus. We believe in the virgin birth. We believe in everything else.
well, that's interesting because like, if you believe in the virgin birth and you also believe in like the Old Testament too, the prophet Isaiah, well, in chapter 7, verse 14, God is speaking to the prophet and says that, and I will give you a sign: the virgin will give birth to a son, and
Wait,
he
which
will be
prophet?
the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. It says the virgin will give birth to a son, and he will be called God with us. And then you go to like 2 chapters later, it says, speaking about the same child, it says, and unto you a child is given, unto you a son is given, the government will rest upon his shoulders, and that he will be called Almighty God, Prince of Peace, Everlasting Father, and what was the last one? Wonderful Counselor. So
We'll let you have all of this memorized.
I've been studying for a while. I just, like I said, I feel like I have deduced it down to two religions, and it is. It's either got to be Christianity or Islam.
Well, Islam, we believe that the Abrahamic religions, like Christianity and Judaism, we just believe that they are regressive instead of progressive because you see how it like the three of us, we're called the Abrahamic religions for a
Yeah,
reason. It's
yeah.
believe in core values, but it progressed. So Islam is the most progressive of the three because it's the most modern one, and yeah, we just see Christians and Jews as regressive.
So earlier you said that the Bible had been corrupted. What do you mean by
Yeah,
that?
which is why it's like kind of regressive because it's been corrupted by man. So the like authentic message of the book, like it's not.
Well, in the Quran, I think it's chapter 6, verse 118. Well, and the Quran chapter, it's either chapter 3, verse 4 or chapter 4, verse 3. It says that, yeah, the Bible is a previous revelation from Allah. But then you go to the Quran chapter 6, verse 118, then it says that the words of Allah cannot be changed or corrupted. So that seems like it would contradict the Quran if the Quran is also saying that the Bible has been corrupted, but it's the words of Allah. What?
Well, it's the word of Allah, right? That's not corrupted, which is why he keeps like he sent the Prophet Muhammad to, or peace be upon him, to correct the authentic message of what he had to say, right? But man corrupted,
Then
like
why?
they changed a bunch of stuff.
Then why are there four different versions of the Quran? Four different variants
And keeps corrupting it.
of the Quran? I thought the Quran. You said that that was preserved.
I'm not so sure. I mean, you've studied a lot more than me, so you probably know more about my religion than I do. But what I am aware of is Muslims. We believe that Islam is the final message of Islam, or of Islam, of Allah, and the Bible and the Torah have been corrupted by man, and it's been changed. So He sent down the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to correct the authentic message.
Well, that doesn't fit historical context because, I mean, we found the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, which a discovery, it was major discovery, which they found every book in the Old Testament, and we even have entire books like the book of Isaiah, which you said was corrupted, letter for letter, exactly how we have it today, uncorrupted. So, and then you even have like the entire, you have over 30,000 ancient manuscripts of the New Testament And I mean, it's the exact same. But also, if they're being translated from original manuscripts, I mean, that doesn't mean that they were corrupted. They were just translated. So
Yeah, that could be, yeah. Because with all the translation, like even with the Bible, another thing that Muslims believe that the original Bible was written in Aramaic, right? And the
Hebrew.
oldest known language that like it was written in, I think, is ancient Greek, and then that was
No,
translated. Really?
no, yeah. For a while, they believed it was Phoenician until they found the Sinai script, where it was actually the first form of, well, of a, well, you would still call it phonetic, of a phonetic alphabet. Or in other words, it was a pictorial language, but they used basic pictures to represent certain sounds. So it was actually the first of a phonetic type alphabet. So it wasn't the Phoenicians. It was actually, and this dates before the Phoenicians. So it actually shows that Hebrew would be one of the oldest languages.
Yeah, but it'd be ancient Hebrew because modern Hebrew is nothing like Hebrew
Yeah.
or ancient Hebrew.
Well, they could be read by modern Hebrew. Yeah, it's different,
Well,
but
modern Hebrew is actually a lot closer to European languages. Um, Ancient Hebrew is closest to Aramaic.
so how does a person get to go to heaven?
Um, I don't know. It is of my opinion that Allah cares more about your intentions and how you treated people. Um, and I think everything else, it's just to help you get closer to Allah. But that is of my opinion. I mean, other people will tell you other things. Because the whole point of religion, at least the way I see it, it's to better yourself as a person and to give you a sense of comfort into what science can't prove. And if religion isn't serving you those purposes, then I don't know what to tell you.
Because isn't there like the five pillars of Islam, like
Mm-hmm.
charity, what is it, prayer,
Charity, prayer, um,
traveling to
fasting.
Mecca, fasting? Yeah. What's the
Well, traveling to Mecca, it's like it depends if you're physically and mentally able to. Like if you're in a wheelchair and you're like it's really difficult for you to go, then like you don't have to go. But like if you are physically, mentally, everything, or financially able to, like if you don't have the money to go to Mecca, I mean Allah isn't gonna hold you accountable for not going.
yeah?
So
It's hot in here. Well, that's interesting though. So, 'cause, I mean, you never actually mentioned how a person does get to go to heaven, though.
yeah, a lot of people, I mean, one Muslim isn't gonna have the same opinion as another. Same thing with a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, depending, like it doesn't matter. But once again, the way I see it, if you treat people with kindness and you do the best you can, you're charitable, you did the best you could to get close to Allah. Um, I think that's what He really cares about. Because only Allah knows your intentions, only Allah knows what you are capable of, your full potential. And like someone at their best is completely different from like you at your best, you know? So everyone's at a different spot, and that's all right.
Well, because according to Christianity compared to Islam, the only way to get to go to heaven is because Jesus died on the cross for his followers' sins. But according to Islam, it says that Jesus didn't die on the cross, that Allah or allowed one of his disciples just to look just like him, go to the cross for him, and then brought Jesus up to heaven. So, I mean, what seems to make sense more about Christianity is that there is a payment for sins. because it says that the wages of our sin is, well, it's eternal death or a separation from the source of life. So on the cross was the death of the eternal, because it says that Jesus is God in the flesh. So he was actually able just to pay the full penalty for our sins. And then it says that, well, he died as a propitiation, which just means he swaps places with us. So he takes our place as a guilty sinner, but then lets us receive his place as the Son of God, so that way we could be children of God and also receive the righteousness that was his. And we could be seen as righteous before God, even though we're not. We're guilty sinners. But Christ died for those sins. But Islam, there's it seems like Allah wouldn't actually be a just God to just to forgive some sins but not others. If he's truly just, well then justice would mean that he'd have to judge sins, but instead he forgives sins.
I mean, well, some sins are greater than others. Um, like in Islam, there's a lot of sins that like just can't be forgiven, like child molestation.
Well, didn't
Um,
that's isn't that what Muhammad did?
no, actually,
It says that he
a lot
married
of
a
people,
6 year old and then
a
consummated that
lot of
marriage when she was 9.
hold on, a lot of people don't know this, but back in ancient Arab civilization, they did not count age until you started puberty. I mean, even in the Bible, it says this. Rebecca, she married Isaac when she was 3. Like,
That's not what it says.
so yeah, look it up. In ancient Arab
No,
civilization,
it
they
says
did
that
not.
she. It says that he was already a man who was.
Yeah, hold on. In ancient Arab civilization, they did not count, especially women, but they didn't count your age until you started puberty. So I'm 18, right? And let's say I started puberty when I was 14, right? So I'd be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'd be 5 years old in ancient Arab civilization. But I'm not actually 5 years old. And it says in the Bible too, Rebecca was 3 when she married Isaac. So
Okay.
Aisha, she was, scholars believe that she was between the ages 16 and 21. And also in the Quran, it says that Aisha had a sister and her name was Asma. And it says Asma is 10 years older than Aisha, right? And it is like scholars know for a fact that she was in her 30s by the time the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, married Aisha. And if she was 30 and she was 6'9", like that's impossible. Like she couldn't have been 9.
But according to the hadiths, he's when he first saw it, she was on a swing playing with a doll. That doesn't really seem to.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Where?
Well, I'd ask you the same thing about where it says Isaac married Rebecca when she was 3, because it talks about her marriage in Genesis 23 and 24. But no, she was not 3 years old. Oh, it's Genesis 24. Never mind.
Like Genesis 25:20, doesn't it?
Genesis. Isaac was 40 years old when he took her. No, it doesn't even
Yeah.
say it. No, it says this is the. It says that Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. But yeah, never mentions her age. Yeah, don't even say her age.
Oh. Well, I've always been told that, but I know in ancient Arab civilization they counted age starting puberty.
Is that also
Specific.
something you've always been told, or do you have the sources for that?
I have the sources. Hold up. I think I have the sources. I don't know. But I just like this is
Because
kind of like
everything I've studied says that, and even well, a lot of the
I mean like
imams
I'm
agree
not
that
a
she was only
hardcore
6.
I'm not a hardcore Muslim. I just like I've always kind of struggled with faith. Like I always knew there was something, but I've never really like believed in a specific thing. And Christianity kind of made sense to me out of all the religions, but it's I just like I see Jesus more of like a prophet. Like I just don't think he's God, and that fits more with Islam. But I'm not really a hardcore Muslim.
Because, like I said, I've been studied too, but and I'm leaning much more towards Christianity than I am Islam, only because of what was prophesied about Jesus. Even in Genesis 22, it said no, it wasn't 22. Psalms 22. Psalms 22 is a prophecy. It said that that his hands and his feet would be pierced, that his clothes would be gambled over, that he'd be surrounded by Romans. It even gave the exact words that he said when he was on the cross. And that was 1,000 years before Jesus even walked the earth. Or it was set, it was, and then capital punishment wasn't even invented until I think it was 450 years later. So, or crucifixion wasn't invented as capital punishment until I think it was 400 years later. So, and then you even have, like I said, the other ones in the book of Isaiah about the man who's going to be born of a virgin who will be God with us. Then you also have like the book of Zechariah where God says that his nation Israel would look upon him, the one whom they had pierced. And it talks about him being crucified. Or even in Isaiah chapter 53, the whole chapter is a detailed account of the crucifixion and why he was crucified. It was for our sins and for our transgressions, for our iniquities. So it's saying that he would die for everyone's sin. And then you even have Jesus saying that he was God. And then, well, in John 1, it says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and that the Word was with God. It says that he was in the beginning with God. And by him, all things were made that were made, and not anything was made but through him. And then you go down 11 verses to verse 14. It says, and then the Word humbled him, speaking of God as this he, humbled himself, took on the body of flesh, and dwelt amongst men. Then Jesus says he's God. His disciples said he's God. He says that he was right to say that they were God because he's revealed this to them, but more blessed is everyone who believes without seeing. So I can't buy into the whole thing that Jesus was just a prophet when all the prophecies about him say that he actually was God, and then he himself says that he's God.
I don't know. I just like I have a hard time believing that he was God. But those are just my beliefs.
Well, where I'm at is if Islam is true, I'll be a Muslim. If Christianity is true, I'll be a Christian.
I don't
There,
know, but at
all right,
the end
yeah.
of the day, you can't really prove or disprove religion. I mean, that's why it's called faith. I mean, you can wholeheartedly believe in it, but there's always that like 0.01% chance that it's not. You know.
Well, if you look at all the prophecies given about Jesus, there's over 300 prophecies that were given about him. And for him just to even fulfill only 8 of those, the improbability of that, I mean, it's 1 times 10 to I think it's the 17th power. But then if you multiply that or compound that by, well, because there's 303. If you compound them by all of that, well, then that would be a number so great that it's actually a number bigger than all the atoms in the universe. It would be like picking the same atom in the entire universe blindfolded and picking the same atoms 3 times in a row, the exact same atom. to me, that's much more than a 0.00001. That's actually a number that
Well, yeah,
science says is
but
so great. So I think prophecy definitely does a pretty good job of proving things,
yeah,
as well as eyewitness testimony, and all those eyewitnesses were willing to die for their beliefs. And the fact that they were eyewitnesses, I mean, some people might die for something that they don't know is true, but nobody's willing to die for something that they know is a lie. And they refused to take it back, and it cost all of them their lives. Some they were all tortured, whether beheaded, thrown
yeah.
in Roman colosseums, drawn and quartered, thrown in vats of boiling oil. I mean,
Mhm.
stoned to death. I mean, it seems like it just has so much more credibility than a book that was written 700 years later, trying to talk about these exact events. And then with the Quran,
Uh, I think that an all loving, all merciful God does not punish people for picking the wrong religion because then they just wouldn't be all loving and all merciful. So,
well, it also says he's all just. So, and it says that
well,
he
yeah, but
reveals
when
himself to those who
God
earnestly seek him.
only God knows what's in your heart, and if you were a good person, right, and if you did the best you could, and God sent you to hell because you picked the wrong religion. I mean, I just don't,
Well,
you know.
if you actually knew that there was evidence against your religion, well, then it doesn't seem like something that's unjust because you intentionally chose just to be ignorant of the truth.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, if you know that there's because the Bible also says that
Well,
God
yeah, for sure. I
reveals
mean,
himself to
a
those who
lot of
earnestly seek him.
crazy things in the Bible that don't make sense. I actually have an entire notes full of Bible verses that are absurd. I
Well, I
have
mean,
to
the
find.
Quran has those too. It says that you could drink
Yeah, for sure.
the
Which is why I'm.
urine of a goat, or maybe it's a camel, to cure diseases,
Yeah,
or you
I
could
know, I know, I
that the
know.
moon was
But like,
split in half.
I think that once again, if God is an all loving, all merciful, all just being, and you were a good person, you did everything to the best of your ability, and they send you to hell, they're not a God that I would want to worship.
Well, doesn't Allah do the same thing?
Well, yeah, but
Why,
I kind of believe in like a different, I don't know, I'm more agnostic if anything, but my beliefs are closer to Islam, so I just say I'm a Muslim.
so, what are your beliefs?
I'm an agnostic Muslim, I guess.
Why are you? So, it sounds like you kind of disbelieve the Quran a little bit too.
I mean, it's not that I disbelieve it. I think that there is a God for sure, but I just don't believe in anything specific. But out of every religion, my beliefs are closer aligned to Islam, and I grew up Muslim too, so I just say that I'm a Muslim to to save people's ears.
Okay,
So I don't want to give this like long plethora of what I believe in, so I just say I'm a Muslim, you know.
okay. Then I have one last question for you.
Hmm.
If Christianity was true, would you be a Christian if it could be
Yeah, for
proven?
sure. Yeah, if I truly felt that it was, then yeah.
So now you're appealing to your feelings rather than facts. You're saying if you felt like it was true. I mean, when I was younger, I believed Santa Claus was real, but that didn't make him mad. That the conviction of my belief made no difference to fact. What I'm asking you is if Christianity could be what could be proved, and actually if it actually is true, would you become a Christian?
Yeah.
So
But there's just too many crazy things in the Bible
can you share
for
with me
me.
some?
Yeah, sure.
I know you said you have a whole bunch of notes.
Timothy 2:11 through 12. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet, for Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not the one deceived, it was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved through childbearing.
So, do you know where Timothy? Because Paul is writing to Timothy. Do you know where Timothy was supposed just to go and for his church, or for where he was ministering to?
Hmm?
So in so that they had, there was a many, they believed in this deity, or this goddess. They called it the many breasted goddess, and that the way that they would worship her was that, well, they would have temple prostitutes, and that these temple prostitutes now, having converted to Christianity, they wanted a place in the temple even though they were uneducated about it yet. So Paul was actually writing to Timothy saying that they should not be teaching, because she was going to, it wasn't Galatia, it wasn't Corinth, was it Ephesia? I think it was Ephesia. So the reason why he put that in there was actually because you got to look at the context as well as the place and time. So the reason why he's writing that to Timothy is just to let him know that these temple prostitutes weren't allowed just to assume positions of authority in the church, because they still needed to learn what it meant to be Christianity. What's the next one?
Oh, also the Bible's kind of obsessed with testicles, so there's a lot of there's a lot of
Testicles or foreskins?
both. So there's a lot of really odd verses
I
about
don't
that.
see too many about testicles, but yeah, foreskins all over there.
Yeah, foreskin and testicles are kind of everywhere in the Bible. He whose testicles are crushed or whose male member is cut off shall not enter the assembly of the Lord. Deuteronomy 23:1.
Detrimony? Oh, you mean Deuteronomy?
Yeah, that one's a silly one. Oh, 2 Kings 2:23 is interesting. Get
With
out here,
Elijah?
Baldy, they said. Get out here, Baldy. He turned around, looked
And
at them,
called
and
a
called
she
a
bear. Yep.
curse upon upon them in the name of the Lord. Then the two bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys.
Yeah.
I don't think God would send two bears to maul 42 children for acting like children.
Well, then you have that same argument there
Not
again
only
too,
that, but
because I know
bear
it says that they were
Palestine.
of their youth, but not, it doesn't say they were children. They were mocking the prophet, but it also says that they were
It
of
says 42 of the young boys.
yeah. But if you look at the Hebrew,
Not only
they weren't
that, but
children.
not only that, but bears in Palestine, bears in Palestine, like what?
Yeah, but if God, because if only God is able just to judge people, well, then it seems like, well, God could decide who lives and dies, and if someone's mocking one of his prophets,
I guess
it
so, but
seems
I
like
don't.
that's God kind of sticking up for his own people.
Well, yeah, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would God send two bears, bears in Palestine, I guess, and you would send them to maul 42 young boys for just being human?
For mocking the
Like
prophet,
if
but they
I
weren't.
like if you were bald and I made fun of you for being bald, and then God just nerfed me, like that's crazy. That just doesn't sound like something an all loving, all merciful God would do. But
Well, but what about people who
do you
mock?
see what I'm like getting
Well,
across
no,
though?
but
Like,
here, because no, because the same, according to Islam, what's the consequence for mocking the Prophet Muhammad?
well, it's the same for mocking Jesus, mocking Abraham.
Yeah, it's his death, right? So I mean,
Yeah, but
that seems like
it
it's
doesn't
something you
say
used to
in
kind of.
here. It just says get out here, Baldy. But I don't think it says a prophet. I can look into
Well,
it.
no, Elijah was a prophet.
Wait, hold on. No, but I don't know if it was Elijah specifically. It
Well,
just says get out, you're baldy, so I
it
don't know
was
who that
Elijah.
is.
Yeah, it was Elijah. I promise
Was
you
it?
that.
I'm gonna look it
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
Wait, I'm sorry. It was
You're
the
good.
bald man.
Or you just type in Second Kings 23, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I guess it was Elijah being mocked by a group of young boys around. But that's still fucking crazy to me.
It seems like it's pretty consistent with all the Abrahamic religions. Because same thing for mocking Moses, or the or Muhammad, or it seems like it's pretty consistent amongst them. Did you just freeze? What a shame. I was enjoying it. Well, you're a good boy, aren't you? Aren't you a good boy? Oh no, where's it? Yep. All right. Too bad.